You ever move somewhere thinking it's going to be your quiet little piece of peace and end up living in a psychological thriller? That's what happened to me and my wife, Claire. We thought we'd found the perfect place, Oak Ridge Hollow. Quiet streets, big oaks, polite neighbors waving with their coffee mugs. It looked like a postcard, smelled like a retirement dream. We'd spent 30 years bouncing around the country for my construction contracts, and this was supposed to be our slow down and breathe chapter. Turns out we'd just moved under a woman who thought running a homeowners association was the same as running a country. Her name was Linda Merriweather, mid-50s, sharp bob haircut, red blazer that could signal aircraft clipboard glued to her hand like an accessory to power. The day we moved in, she showed up before the movers had even unpacked the first box. "Welcome to Oak Ridge," she said, smiling too wide. "We have a few community standards I'm sure you'll appreciate." I should have known right there that's not how normal people greet new neighbors. The first week I got a letter taped to our door. Taped, not mailed, saying my garbage bin had been visible 32 minutes past pickup time. The fine was $50, $50 for a trash can. Claire just laughed, poured herself another cup of coffee and said, "Maybe she's timing it with a stopwatch." I grumbled, but Claire stayed calm. She's always been that way, quiet but calculating, like she's 2 moves ahead of the game. I figured she was just good at reading people. I had no idea how deep that ran. Then came the roses. Claire planted these deep crimson roses by the mailbox, said it reminded her of her mother's garden. Within a week, we got another notice. Apparently red wasn't on the HOA's approved palette. They preferred neutral tones of white, pink, or yellow to maintain community harmony. Claire didn't even look up from her tea when she read it. "You ever notice people who talk the most about harmony usually don't have any?" she said. I tried to shrug it off. I really did. But Linda made it her hobby to harass us. She'd walk her dog past our place 3 times a day, phone out pretending to check messages while snapping photos. She told me once, "You know, the hedge height is supposed to be uniform." I told her, didn't realize we were running a military base. She didn't laugh. A month in, I realized our mailbox had a dent. Our sprinklers mysteriously stopped working, and twice the garbage guys just skipped us. The cameras I'd installed picked up that red blazer of hers lingering in the background. When I confronted her, she smiled that fake community smile and said, "Mr. Carter, vandalism complaints require HOA review before police involvement. You'll need my approval." That's when it clicked. She wasn't enforcing rules, she was controlling people. Claire handled it differently. One night she sat at the dining table surrounded by HOA letters, her laptop open, typing something quietly. "You're taking this pretty seriously," I said. She looked up, half a smile on her face. "You ever study predators?" I laughed. "No, but I've built fences to keep them out." She leaned back. "Good. Because this one doesn't climb fences, she writes them." Weeks went by and the intimidation got worse. Neighbors whispered like they were living under surveillance. An old vet got fined for hanging his flag past quiet hours. A family got charged $300 for hosting a birthday party without pre-approval. Everyone said the same thing. "Don't cross Linda." It was like a dictatorship with manicured lawns. Then came the final straw, a letter printed in red ink. Final notice. Continued non-compliance will result in lien review and possible eviction. Eviction. Over roses. I told Claire I was going to the county office to file a complaint. She just said, "Good, but do it quietly." Her tone changed that night, colder, sharper. It wasn't fear. It was readiness. 2 weeks later came the annual HOA barbecue mandatory attendance. The flyer literally said that, mandatory. I went because I wanted to look that woman in the eye and remind her she didn't own us. The park looked like a Stepford scene, identical tablecloths, matching flags, people smiling too hard. And there she was in that red blazer, acting like the queen of civility. When we arrived, Linda turned to us, smirked, and said, "Glad you could make it, Mr. Carter. After all the confusion, I wasn't sure you'd show." Claire smiled sweetly. "Wouldn't miss it. I like seeing how leadership runs things." The first hour was fine. But then Linda started raising her voice near a new family, a young black couple who'd just moved in. She told their teenage son he couldn't sit at that table. Claire stepped in, calm but firm. "It's a community barbecue, Linda, not assigned seating." Linda snapped. "Some of us prefer order." Claire's eyes didn't waver. "And some of us prefer decency." That broke something in Linda. She started shaking, yelling about respect and authority. "You think you're above the rules, Claire. You think you can embarrass me. And then God help me." She reached into her purse and pulled out a handgun. Everything froze. Kids screamed. People ducked. And there she was, Linda Merriweather, aiming a gun at my wife over a picnic table. But Claire didn't flinch. She stepped forward, voice low and calm. Linda put it down. "You don't tell me what to do," Linda shouted. Claire's tone changed, clipped, commanding. "That's a direct order." Linda blinked, thrown off. "Order? Who do you think you are?" Claire took a slow step closer. "Commander Claire Carter, United States Secret Service. You are pointing a firearm at a federal officer. You could have heard a pin drop." Linda laughed, hysterical, disbelieving. Claire reached into her jacket, flashed her badge, and in one move disarmed her so fast the crowd gasped. The gun hit the grass, and within seconds Claire had unloaded it and handed it to the nearest officer. "Unregistered weapon." "Safety off," she said calmly. The police swarmed in. Linda screamed about being attacked, but when they verified Claire's credentials, everything changed. They saluted her. Linda was cuffed and taken away, her red blazer, looking small and ridiculous under the flashing lights. That night, when the neighborhood finally went quiet, I sat across from Claire at the kitchen table, still trying to process that my wife, the woman who grew tomatoes and organized bake sales, had just taken down an armed HOA president. She shrugged. Old habits die hard. Turns out, before retiring, she'd been commander of the Presidential Protection Division. The same woman Linda tried to scare into submission had spent decades protecting world leaders. But that wasn't the end. When local news broke the story, the official report called it a neighborhood misunderstanding. No mention of the gun, no mention of the unregistered HOA accounts Claire had started investigating. That's when we realized someone was trying to bury it. Claire went back through the HOA's financials and found the smoking gun, not the literal one, but worse. Money from HOA fees was being funneled through dummy companies tied to a defense contractor called Arcton Systems. It wasn't just local corruption. It was national-level laundering hidden behind white fences and bylaws. 2 weeks later, Oak Ridge Hollow wasn't just a suburb, it was a federal sting site. Claire made one call. Operation Oak Shield, she called it. That night, black SUVs rolled in helicopters overhead, agents swarming the HOA office. They arrested Linda's sponsors, a developer, a lobbyist, even a county commissioner. Turns out the HOA had been laundering millions through property maintenance fees. When it was over, Claire stood in our driveway, arms folded, just watching the dawn rise over the cul-de-sac. I asked, "Is it finally over?" She said, "Not for them." A month later, Oak Ridge dissolved its HOA. The sign that once said, "A community of excellence," was taken down quietly at dawn. The neighbors voted to self-manage, no presidents, no clipboards, no fear. Linda got 8 years in federal prison. Claire didn't celebrate. She just said, "Power only matters when you use it to protect." Now, when I hear the wind chime she once hung, the same one Linda tried to ban, I think about that barbecue, about how fragile peace can be when someone confuses control with leadership. Claire still jokes. Guess we made HOA history. Maybe we did. Or maybe we just reminded people that bullies come in all forms. Some wear badges, some wear blazers. Either way, the trick is knowing when to stand your ground. So yeah, HOA. Linda pointed a gun at my wife, but what she really did was shoot her own empire down. Tell me in the comments, if someone like that tried to control your neighborhood, would you stand up or stay quiet? Because sometimes justice doesn't come from the system. It comes from the people who refuse to bow to it.